Hi, it's chili night. So I've already set everything up. I've got the ground beef sizzling in a pan. I did not add any grease because this is a 73-27 blend, quite greasy. Probably gonna have to drain some off before I add the other ingredients. Hope you like that sizzle. I'm gonna start some tunes and add everything else in one cut. Hope you enjoy hanging with me. Sometimes people ask me, why is it that I use the spatula at a time to just pick it up and shake and toss? The big difference is if there's liquid in there and you're dumping the food, it's going to throw the stuff out at you and it's going to make a big old mess. I also put on a apron whenever I think it's going to splatter a little bit. So that's the difference. Just kind of breaking it up. I'm not going to break it up into tiny mealy bits because I just kind of like bigger chunks. You could use stew meat, but you're going to have to tenderize the stuff quite a bit more than using ground beef. Okay, so very quickly I'm going to put in some spices here. This is my trusty Montreal steak seasoning. I don't care about the blend or the brand as much as I want Montreal steak or chicken seasoning. I put this stuff in almost everything. This is like my master seasoning blend. Here is some Mexican rub. Again, I don't really care the type, but just kind of looking for the general profile here. And some bulk Ancho chili powder for smokiness. Now beware, do not confuse chipotle with ancho. Ancho is a lot milder, so you can get a lot more smokiness without the heat. Let that sit and brown a little bit. You're looking for caramelization here. That'll get rid of that livery beef flavor that a lot of people do not like. Got my iHeartRadio going on in the background. Hope you like that too. Oh man, it's starting to smell good already. Alright, so I'm keeping it pretty real here. No weird editing and cuts. I'm going to foreshadow some of the beans I've been soaking and cooking today. This is some red kidney beans. I soaked it overnight and simmered it this morning. And some white northern beans. I feel that the red kidney beans and the white northern beans are great because they add a creaminess component without changing a whole lot else in terms of flavor. Alright, so it's starting to break up. Looking at it quite happy. I think I'm going to add an onion to this. This will be fun. So out comes the board. I'll shift you over to the board here. I always hold my knife before I start so that I know it's nice and sharp. Alright, my tip for cutting an onion. Do it quickly and confidently. Don't dawdle so that you don't have to cry as much. Do not like the fumes. Okay, so I peel the onion. From here on out, I'm going to go quickly. Watch. Split it in half. Make your cuts for your fine dice. When your knife is sharp, it does most of the heavy lifting for you. Now, one thing that I'll continually do when I cook is to clean after myself because I hate doing dishes just like most of you do. I have my mom to thank for this one. She taught me that if you're going to cook, you got to learn to clean. Actually, she's the one who got me into cooking. She basically observed that since you like to eat, you better learn to cook. Those wise words right there. Alright, so I'm not very worried about the bottom of this forming a crust and sticking because I'm going to have lots of liquid to deglaze in just a bit. And I'm very surprised that there's not a whole lot of grease forming, so I'm quite happy with this. Okay, not a whole lot going on there, but I think it's about time to add the beans. The idea here is you're trying to cook the beans in some of this lovely beef rendering. Fancy way of saying beef fat. I'm not afraid of cooking in beef fat simply because if you control it, it's an honest fat. Your body knows how to process it. That's my theory. You go and use the synthetic stuff and your body going, oh. Alright, first up, gonna drain my red beans. Using the cover. Here. Using my cover to hold back the beans before dropping it into the pan. Voila. Do the same for the northern beans. Drain, recover. See that? Just hold it with a crack there. Drain. There you go. Notice I'm not a big fan of standing and staring at my food because it's a big temptation to go fiddle with the food. When you fiddle with the food, it does not caramelize. I learned that from Monica with vegetables. If you leave the vegetables be, they will caramelize very nicely on their own. The other trick I would share with you right now is I don't salt my meat or my beans until the very end because they seem to harden up the beans when you salt it. I think I heard that from someone else as well, another chef, and I seem to notice that. If you want that tender creaminess, you cannot salt it too early. Notice my kitchen's pretty small. I call it a 1 to 2 butt kitchen, 2 at most, to cook in. But if you're careful, you can actually get more people in here and get a lot done. A lot of it has to do with planning and organizing. I find that it's actually quite efficient to cook in a small kitchen. As long as smartly planned, the flow goes pretty well. Cleaning as I go. Woo, getting hot. Ooh, hot water. That's another thing. Hot water pretty much strips grease as it goes into the pan. Don't have to use as much water in scrubbing. Okay, cleanup done. Again, because I got liquid, I'm not worried about deglazing my chili here, which now looks kind of like this. Alright. Yep, definitely a fawn forming below. Nice little crust. I can actually scrape most of it off with residual wetness and dampness here. But I have some chicken broth that I made here. Do you know what the difference between chicken broth and stock is? This is chicken broth. It's very clean and clear. Chicken stock is usually made with roasted bones, much darker and caramelized. I like stock, but it can overwhelm some items. Definitely for cassoulet and other ragu type preparations, stews, stock's the way to go. But I think really good stock right now would go overwhelm what I'm making here. Alright, gotta get a little bit more careful here as I stir because it's gonna overwhelm the size of this skillet here. Almost ready for the tomatoes, so I'm gonna bring it back up to the boil. Ah, very lovely. Again, fawn forming, so I'm going to take down the temperature to about medium. And I'm about to add some tomato here. Whoop, almost dumped that out of the sides. Nice, slow, smooth movements here. No chopping around. Alright, tomato. I got two types. I got diced tomato. And I got tomato with chili. Here's a trick. You can actually extend the life of your can opener, that when it gets dull turning in one way, you can turn it the opposite direction. There's a direction to the teeth, it drags the can in circles. So you can double the life if you're willing to use it the opposite way. So I don't normally turn the can opener this direction, but you know what? It cuts pretty well right now, so I'm not going to go get another one. Okay, that is pretty much the chili. You watched it from beginning to end. I hope you enjoyed hanging with me. The last step, once this incorporates a little bit, is I'm going to turn down the heat to warm the simmer so that it'll just cook down and get creamy. I'm going to be serving it over rice. You can serve it over noodles like macaroni. Some people do. You can top it with chili and onion. Excuse me, not chili. Cheese and onion. We don't do dairy in this household, even though we love the stuff. We're lactose intolerant. So it's just going to be this with a small bowl of rice. But I'm going to taste it and then season it accordingly. I don't like a whole lot of salt, but this one needs some. Salt brightens all the flavors quite a bit. Okay, thank you for hanging with me, and while I make some chili for the family, hope to see you next time. Remember to subscribe. Bye.